If you're feeling overwhelmed while trying to look for that perfect autumnal, cozy, or spooky game this fall, I'm here to help. In this video, I have 20 different Switch games for you, divided up into 5 different categories so that you can find that perfect game. We are going to be talking mystery games, games about ghosts and the afterlife, fantasy creature games, creepy games, and general atmospheric ones that are perfect for cold autumnal nights. Let's begin. The first category, mystery games. The first is Tangle Tower. This is an amazing voice-acted point-and-click puzzle mystery game where you play as 2 detectives solving the murder of Freya Fellow. This game is bright and colorful, each character is carefully voice-acted, and each has their own unique personality, which I thoroughly enjoyed. In this game, you'll be interviewing all the residents of Tangle Tower, learning about who they are, their whereabouts, and their relations to each other. At the same time, you'll have to investigate the various rooms they're in, keeping a careful eye out for anything suspicious. Some items will also require you to solve puzzles in order to learn more about them, which I really enjoyed. The puzzles were quite tricky, but nothing impossible. They required careful observation and some critical thinking, and it was all around challenging but fun. This game had a really nice balance of listening to the various stories by each character, and it was balanced with the active engagement and interaction with the scenes or by solving puzzles. You're also mentally piecing together the story of the characters and their whereabouts as you go through the game, so all in all, I thought it was really well paced and didn't feel boring. My only gripe personally was that I felt the ending felt a little flat for me. The game had a fantastic story build-up, so the ending just felt a little strange and random and a little haphazard to me. However, considering how much I enjoyed the whole process and gameplay, I'll still recommend you to check this out. This game is available on the Nintendo eShop for 20 USD or 17 euros and takes about 6 to 8 hours to play. The second mystery game is Jenny LeClue Detective-oo. In this game, you play as little Jenny LeClue, a wannabe detective living in the town known as Atherton. One day, the opportunity for you to play detective finally arises when your mother has been falsely accused of murdering the school dean. You'll be adventuring across the town of Atherton, uncovering the city's secrets, and doing your best to clear your mother's name. What makes the game unique is the idea of choosiness. You get to make decisions for Jenny that help determine the outcome of the game and the direction that Jenny's story goes. This game is also wonderfully voice-acted, really immersing you in the mystery of Atherton, and I loved all the little mini-games and puzzles that you have to solve. The puzzles also require you to be observant just like how a detective would be, and I really like the balance between the listening of characters, moving around, and solving puzzles. This game was such a good one, but big spoiler alert ahead, this game actually does end on a cliffhanger, and the second Jenny LeClue game does not yet have a release date. Even though I know about this cliffhanger now, I would honestly still recommend playing this one. It is such a witty game, it is very atmospheric, and the puzzles and voice acting were really top-notch. Jenny LeClue is available on the Nintendo eShop for 25 USD or 20 euros, but this game frequently goes on sale and I personally bought it for just 2 euros. Considering the cliffhanger, I do recommend that you get this game on sale, but either way, it's such a fun one to play. The final mystery game I have to recommend is the Duck Detective series. This is actually a 2-in-1 as there are 2 games here, Duck Detective The Secret Salami, and the latest Duck Detective The Ghost of Glamping. The style of these 2 games are the same, and if you'd like to play this game in order, start with The Secret Salami as you'll see some repeat characters, but nothing that would impact your gameplay should you start with the second one. In both games, you play as the Duck Detective tasked with solving the mystery of first, the Salami Bandit, and in the second, solving the case of a supposed haunted campsite. Both games are fairly short at around 2 to 3 hours long, and is a great way to spend your evening. Both games are completely voice-acted, filled with terrible punny jokes and unexpected twists and turns in the story. I love the main storyline, but I also love the side stories from each character, which makes the game really fun and silly, but also adds to the entire gameplay experience. In this game, you'll be interviewing various characters, carefully inspecting them and the evidence around, and putting together your deductions. I love the sticker-like graphics of the game, the voice acting is super lively, and the level of difficulty of the game is just right. It's enough to get you thinking and trying different possibilities, but at the same time, it still allows you to be completely immersed while enjoying the game. Let's move on to the next category for best fall games, Ghosts and the Afterlife. I have 8 games in this category, so let's get into it. The first game is Love Ghosty. This is an adorable matchmaking game that was released recently on the Nintendo Switch, and you get to play as a matchmaker ghost living in a house full of single residents, and it's your job to matchmake them. You can matchmake them by giving them gifts while pretending that they are actually from other residents in the house, and you can also set them up on dates. I'm not gonna lie, initially from the graphics of the game, I did not have high hopes, but this was super addictive. I love finding the different personality traits of each character and matching the right gifts and dates for them. I also love the little relationship chats that each pair has and how many different date scenes there are. The game also has a very silly way of giving you instructions, which is through their forum, Dead It. It was really easy to understand and so funny, and this just made the whole game super simple and enjoyable. The best part of the game is the replayability. There are actually 66 different relationship endings, so you can play this game over and over again and pair the characters up differently and see the various different storylines. I would say my only con of the game is that while the dates may be the same and you may have different character pairs going on the dates, I wish the dialogue for those would change. Sometimes the dialogue remained the same, which I think takes away from the specialness of having two completely new characters go on the date. Nevertheless, this game was super fun and one that I'm definitely going to work on getting all 66 combinations done. This game retails for 20 USD or 20 euros on the Nintendo eShop. The second game in the Ghost and the Afterlife category is of course Spiritfarer. In this game, you play as Stella, a Spiritfarer tasked with helping spirits with their final requests before sending them over to the Everdoor. The main gameplay is pretty grindy. You will have to fulfill the spirits' requests by traveling to different areas, gathering various resources, creating buildings on your boat, upgrading your boat, cooking the occasional meal, and keeping the spirits on your boat happy until they are ready to head over to the other side. There is also some light platforming in some parts of the game that honestly I found pretty tricky, but then again I'm also not the strongest at platforming. It was nothing impossible, but I did find it a little tough. Everything about this game other than that is truly super perfect. I love the art style, I love the mix of colors here that just feed into the vibe of warmth and coziness. The soundtrack is also amazing. In fact, I still listen to it when I'm working because it's just that relaxing. Of course, the story of the game is so beautiful about life and death. Each character has their own distinct personality and their own thoughtful story to tell. This is truly such a beautiful game, but being a management game, I would advise you to only pick this up if you like grindy games where you don't mind doing repetitive tasks like looking for resources or fulfilling multiple quests at once. At the same time, this is also a game about death, loss, and grief, and if that's something you're not able to handle just yet, I suggest you give this game a miss for now. This game is available on the Nintendo eShop for 25 euros or 30 USD, or if you have a Netflix account, this game is available there as well. The third game of this category is Calibra and the Souls of Limbo. This is a bright and colorful game inspired by Latin American culture about the afterlife. You play as Calibra, a dead snake who has woken up in the world of Limbo. However, you're not sure who you are or why you're here. All you're told is that you're a bright soul and it's your job to help the wandering souls with their emotional baggage so that they can move on. This is a point-and-click narrative-driven game where you'll be exploring the world that you're in, meeting various characters, and helping them along the way by finding various items or solving simple puzzles. The charm of the game lies in the graphic and the stories. While it's a game about death, the afterlife, and has themes of regret and loss, the colorful paper-like graphics feel bright and refreshing and contrast nicely against these darker themes. I feel that this game had a really creative take on heavier topics as the characters were pretty out there and unique, but their thoughts, fears, and emotions were very relevant, which I thought made the game very special. This game takes about 10 hours to play and it retails for 20 euros or USD on the Nintendo eShop. Game number 4 in the Ghost and Afterlife category is Cozy Grove, one of my favorites and a really popular one on the Switch as well. In Cozy Grove, you play as a spirit scout tasked with helping spirit bears regain their lost memories. First off, the graphics in this game are just so freaking cute. It makes me feel like I'm in a storybook. Especially every time you bring light into the world, it's just so satisfying and feels like a watercolor come to life. The gameplay itself is pretty simple, as it's a hidden object narrative-driven game. All you're doing is searching for these objects that are hinted around the island while talking to each bear and getting to know their stories. You are of course able to do other things like decorate your campsite and raise little animal creatures, but your main priority would be to find the items to help jog the memories of the spirit bears. What I really like about the game that some people actually may not like is that you only have a fixed number of tasks to do per real day. So that means each bear will only have a fixed number of quests for you to find, and after you're done with that, you're pretty much done with the game for the rest of the day. Some tasks may even require a few real days for the item to spawn, so it's a pretty low stakes game. I do wish that there were more tasks to do just because the game is so freaking cute, but having only a set number of tasks to do was kind of my signal to put the game down and head to bed. I also love the stories each bear has. Each has a really unique and special story, and because you're building up your relationship with them over time, it really does feel like you're getting to know them, and I think that just makes the stories you hear at the end even more special. This game is available on the Nintendo eShop for about 14 euros or USD, and if you have Netflix, you can play it there as well. We're halfway through this category about Ghosts and the Afterlife, and if you're liking this video so far, please consider liking it and subscribing to my channel. Now let's get back to the video for game number 5. Game number 5 in the Ghost and Afterlife category is Luigi's Mansion. There are 2 Luigi's Mansion games you can get on the Switch, Luigi's Mansion 2 or number 3. If you want a more detailed video about the differences between these 2 games, you can definitely check out my video here. In both Luigi's Mansion, you will be playing as Luigi, catching the ghosts that are roaming free in the area. The game is very atmospheric, it's dark and gloomy, and it does a great job at the creepy, spooky feel while not being too scary, as after all, it is a Luigi's Mansion game. You'll be working on solving puzzles, exploring different areas, and catching ghosts with your trusty poltergeist machine. You'll be involved in boss battles that will have you working up a sweat as you work on defeating and capturing these ghosts. This is a really fun adventure game that's very different from the last few games I've talked about, so if you're looking for something a little bit more fun and exciting but has that ghostly twist, Luigi's Mansion is going to be the game for you. Game 6 out of 8 of the Ghost and Afterlife category is I Am Dead. This is a really sweet and charming indie game where you play as the ghost of Maurice Lupton, who was once the beloved museum curator of an island known as Shelmerston. In this game, you're meant to look for a new custodian for the island to prevent a volcano from blowing up and destroying the island. It's a short game of about 6 hours max that's entirely voice acted. All the different characters are each so distinct and they have their own unique personality that really adds to the community feel of Shelmerston. In the game, you'll be searching for various objects hidden around each area of Shelmerston, and as Maurice, you have a special ability where you can look deep inside a particular object to find other items that are hidden among them. So, in the game, you'll be taking really close looks inside various objects and discovering the ones that you need, so as to be able to call on various candidates to be the new custodian. It's a really relaxing game and one that's great to pass the time with. I love the colors and the voice acting, but personally, I did find it to be a bit of a drag after a while, as taking the time to really dig through and find each item was a little bit slow for me, but I can still recommend it if you want something totally relaxing and one that can calm your mind. The game is available on the Nintendo eShop for €14 or about 15 USD. Game 7 out of 8 in the Ghost and Afterlife category is Death and Taxes. This is a really unique game about the afterlife as you play as the Grim Reaper. The fate of the world is in your hands as you get to decide who lives and dies each day. It's your job to read through the descriptions of the different people on Earth, and you have to follow instructions set by your boss, Fate, to decide who are the ones that get to live another day. This is another wonderfully voice-acted game. Despite the grim undertone, it's actually quite relaxing. The dialogue is very witty, and this is also a game that is more than meets the eye. The various character descriptions may be fairly unassuming or may seem outrightly wrong, yet you'll be able to see whether your actions have consequences in the world, whether it be positive or negative. This is also a really fun one to play, especially at the end of a long day when you want to listen to something or do a little bit of light reading. It retails for about €13 or 13 USD on the Nintendo eShop, but I personally bought this for about €2 on sale, so definitely keep an eye out during the sale period. The final game in the Ghost and Afterlife category is Afterlife EP. This is a narrative-driven game set in Jakarta, Indonesia. You play as Rama, a young musician who is grieving the loss of his girlfriend who has recently passed away. You'll be following Rama and making decisions that shape the outcome of his story. You'll be interacting with his bandmates, meeting new friends, and even accompanying him to therapy to learn more about how he's dealing with grief and how he's adapting to his life after loss. This is an incredibly thoughtful game. The characters are really well developed and each has their own flaws that seem so real and raw. I really like that the game gives you the freedom to move and explore however you like, yet there are fixed actions and tasks that you can take in terms of who you interact with for that day, who you choose to talk to, and how you talk to them that will impact the outcome of the story. This game feels like a comic book come to life. It's an amazing one and I highly recommend it if you want something thought-provoking yet somehow really relatable and relaxing. This game retails for €12 or 20 USD on the Nintendo eShop. Now let's go over to the next category, witchy fantasy games. These games have your classic Halloween elements, witches, goblins, spells, and more. The first game is Potion Craft. In this game, you're a shopkeeper creating potions for different customers. This game is super unique and one that I was really addicted to. As an alchemist, you have a special potion map, and to uncover different sorts of potions, you have to collect resources and use them to create the potions you need. As this is a puzzle game, each ingredient you have moves in a unique way across the map, and by combining these ingredients, you'll be creating a path across the map that will result in various different potions being created. I love this game as you have so much flexibility in creating the various potions that you need. Some customers may have special requests, like a potion that only has 2 ingredients, or a potion that uses only a specific set of ingredients. All of these requests will require you to be creative with the sort of items that you use, considering that each one moves across the map in a special way. The added twist in the game is that you will have customers of varying personalities. Some of them may have interesting requests like a potion that allows them to move quietly so they can steal better, or a potion that can allow them to seduce a particular suitor. It's up to you to decide whether you want to fulfill these requests, and all of these will impact your store's reputation. The game is really engaging and encourages your creative thinking, yet the acts of grinding up and mixing all the ingredients and uncovering different sorts of potions is also super satisfying. This game retails for about 20 euros or USD on the Nintendo eShop. The next witchy game is my absolute favorite, Wildflowers. I've posted about this game multiple times on TikTok, and honestly, it gets a lot of hate because of how strange the graphics look. Not gonna lie, the characters look kinda wacky, but the game is just so amazing. In Wildflowers, you play as Tara, a city girl who has moved to the town of Fairhaven to care for her sick grandmother. Here, you realize that you're a witch, and you soon join the town's secret witchy group. However, not all the townsfolk are accepting of witches, and you learn about the lies and deceit that has been happening in the town. The main gameplay is exactly the same as any sort of life sim. You'll be farming, fishing, mining, making friends with the NPCs, and even romancing them. If you're not sure if you like farm sims, I think this is a really good one to start with. You're not spending a lot of time on any one particular activity, but you do get to play around with each one, and this will allow you to experiment and see if this sort of gameplay is something you'll enjoy. At the same time, the main focus of the game is the story, and this is just so engaging and fits in so well with the daily activities you're doing in the game. Even though there are quests to complete, I have never once felt rushed to complete them immediately. I'm able to do what I want in the town while also have the story move forward at a pace I'm comfortable with. The twist in the story is just so insane to me, and I never thought a life sim would be able to have a good story like that. Wildflowers retails for 25 USD or 21 euros on the Nintendo eShop. There are two more games in the witchy fantasy category, so game number 3 is Witchwood. This is a really beautiful game where you play as a witch who has woken up not knowing who you are or what you're supposed to be doing. You strike a deal with a strange goat who promises to help you only if you help to fulfill its requests. The gameplay is very simple. You'll be talking to characters you meet along the way, collecting resources and crafting items, and then delivering them, and that's pretty much it. It's a very relaxing game. The colors are beautiful, autumnal, and I'd really recommend it if you're looking for a little break where you want to experience a little story and low pressure gameplay. This game retails for 20 USD or 18 euros on the Nintendo eShop. However, personally, I did find the game a little bit repetitive, so I would personally wait for a sale for this one. The final fantasy-like game I have in this category is Little Guardsman. This is another one of my favorite games that's so funny and so silly. You play as Lil, a little girl who's replacing your dad's shift at the guard ship. As a guard, it's your job to assess the people who want to enter the kingdom known as the Sprawl. Be warned though, who you let in will have consequences, so you have to be discerning. To do so, you have various tools in hand that will allow you to assess the true characters of these people. This game is really bright and funny. The voice acting is top-notch. I love the different characters that come through the gate, and I love how you're assessed on how well you are able to decipher the true behaviors or characters of the people coming in. If you're looking for a silly yet engaging game this fall, I highly recommend Little Guardsman. This game retails for 20 euros or USD on the Nintendo eShop. Let's get into the next category, creepy games. I personally am a big scaredy cat, so the two games that I'm recommending here are perfect if you want a bit of a scare, but nothing too crazy. The first creepy game is Beacon Pines. Now, this is hardly creepy at all to be honest, but it does have a bit of a chilling undertone. This is a unique narrative-driven game where you play as the narrator and the main character of the story. In the game, you're supposed to find the right or the most satisfying ending to a strange tale happening in the town of Beacon Pines. As you uncover the mysteries of the town by talking to characters and wandering around the area, you will be picking up different words that you can use in the storybook. By doing so, you'll come up with multiple different endings for the story that you're in, and hopefully you can find a satisfying end. I won't reveal too much about what the story is about, as I felt that was the best going in completely blind. This game takes about 6 hours to complete and retails for 20 USD or euros on the Nintendo eShop. The next creepy game I have is Dredge. This is a super popular game during the fall season, and rightfully so. I totally think it's worth the hype. In this game, you play as a fisherman selling your catch and upgrading your boat so that you can venture out further and longer each day. You'll also be dredging up various items from shipwrecks or selling them, or using them to help out the various characters that you meet. What is the creepy part about this game is that the area that you're in is not necessarily haunted, but you do see and hear things, so you're not quite sure if they're really there or not. This is a perfect game if you love grindy games, as you're working on a lot of resource management, completing quests, upgrading your boat, but the story and the creepy vibe of the game ties in really naturally while you play. I was actually really engrossed with this one. This game takes about 10 to 12 hours to play and retails for about 25 USD or euros on the Nintendo eShop. Finally, the last category we have is general atmospheric games. These games are just pure vibes and will make any fall night feel extra cozy. The first game is The Last Campfire. I've posted about this game quite a few times on my TikTok, and this game literally gets no hate. Everyone loves it, and so do I. In this game, you play as a lost ember trying to find your way home, and along the way, you're looking for other lost embers to help. The game is dark and moody, and the game is able to tackle difficult topics of depression and loneliness in a very subtle but gentle and sensitive manner. The primary gameplay requires you to adventure across different areas and solve puzzles. The puzzles vary from quite simple ones to some pretty challenging brain teasers. Puzzles are really so clever, they're really creative, and I love how you don't get instructions on what to do. You're kind of left to figure things out, but you're never once left frustrated because the game just moves in such an intuitive and thoughtful manner. As you adventure across the lands, I love that you're also kind of restricted in certain areas where you're meant to complete the puzzles before you get to move on to the next one. This way, I felt like I wasn't overwhelmed at all. I was guided, yet still had the ability to explore the area that I was in comfortably and in my own time. The game is so gorgeous, relaxing, yet also worked my brain in the best way. The game retails for 15 euros or USD on the Nintendo eShop, but I got it at such a steal for only €1.99 during the sale period, so definitely keep an eye out for that. However, I think this is one of the rare games that's worth the full price, so get it whenever you can. The next game is My Brother Rabbit. This game is another one that is just straight up gorgeous. It feels like I'm transported into a storybook. This is a hidden object puzzle game where you play as a little rabbit trying to find a cure for your friend the flower. As you explore each fantasy land, you'll be looking for different items cleverly hidden around, and you'll be using them to solve puzzles that will allow you to get closer to a cure for your friend. The game has completely no dialogue, but the storytelling is made so apparent and clear, and it was just such a sweet and heartwarming story. This was a really nice way to spend about 4 to 6 hours, and you can easily complete it in a weekend. I highly recommend this game if you're looking for a beautiful game with clever puzzles, and one that tests your observation and creativity. This game retails for 15 euros or USD on the Nintendo eShop. The final pure vibes game and the last game of this video is Paper Trail. If you haven't picked up this game yet, you're seriously missing out. Paper Trail is a beautiful puzzle game inspired by origami. In this game, you're trying to make your way to college by adventuring across various areas, but to create the paths to get to your destination, you'll have to literally fold the pieces of the world that you're in to create those platforms. The gameplay is very straightforward. All you're doing is folding the environment that you're in many different ways so that you can create different paths for you to walk across. Despite the simple gameplay, the creativity and solutions are endless. Each level was really different, and honestly, it did get pretty tricky. I love the simplicity and the origami inspiration, and I love the story as well. There was so much to unpack there, and that just made it such a thoughtful story and game altogether. This game was definitely leaning towards the trickier side, yet somehow was still super addicted and felt so motivated to go through all the various landscapes and levels. I highly recommend you check this game out. The best part was that I bought it for only 2 euros when it typically retails for 20 euros or USD on the Nintendo eShop. Thank you for watching, and I hope you'll give this video a like and a subscribe, and I hope to see you in the next one.